In the name of human insight, or in the name of God, or in the name of love. Hi everyone, I am B.RAHIMIAN as a JKD researcher of Bruce Lee or Human Insight. I hope you are all okay at this time, at this second. Okay, welcome to the part 2 of the history of Persia from Bruce Lee's vision or Human Insight vision. Okay, introduction of the history of Persia. History has always been the greatest teacher of mankind. Going through past civilizations leads us to a more advanced and experienced way in order to achieve our goals. Foundation and principles of those ancient civilizations are the best techniques to conclude the better of living and basing our future. The origin of human civilizations and agriculture is of course much older than documentation in the form of inscriptions and bas reliefs or tombs can tell us. The section is only based on documented history. The research in front of you is the most accurate, up to date. As a Human Insight group and as a scientifics of Human Insight group, Human Insight group documents according the latest archaeological and historical discoveries and evidence of ancient history of Persia. These sections contains a summarized historical timeline of Persia, and the group of Human Insight have been trying to more getting information about the historical of Persia and the world, and especially about the human. Persia was a powerhouse of academic knowledge in ancient times. They were leaders in astrology, medicine, mathematics, literature, and philosophy. Throughout millenniums of invasions and conquests, Persians have been taught enough to live through it and repel in the invaders. Even during Middle Age, Persia produced the best scholar in the world in all fields of science. And before Aryans, you know Aryans? And the first nation on the earth, living on the earth, had been living the first human nation. Yes. Agricultural revolution. Yes. Pre-dynastic era. The dawn of civilization. And the normal world as a historical world. Yes. Agricultural revolution. The agricultural revolution made permanent settlement possible and the creation of complex civilization started. Monumental architecture and more elaborate form of artistic representation reflect an increasingly differentiated social hierarchy. Hierarchy, forms of administration and recording are developed as cities emerge across their region. Yes, this is the truth. Absolutely, this is the truth. The agricultural revolution. The Persian plateau became the cradle of one of the oldest civilizations and the kingdoms in the history of earth. In Iran, as a call today Iran, there are 1.2 million historical sites discovered so far, with some 70,000 historical modes. Our undocumented history goes way back to the 10th millennium before Christ and buried deep in what is now southwestern of Iran as of today. Yes, and we can talk about after that SUSIANA civilization. After the agricultural revolution and the first civilization on the earth as a Persian civilization, the first or ex-Persia. We can better name X or before Persian civilization. As a SUSIANA civilization, the ancient Shush civilization or English SUSIANA civilization were among the first civilized civilizations to emerge over 8,800 years ago. Yes, in 2 days, Khuzestan or southwestern of Iran. So far, this has been reported as one of the oldest civilizations in the recorded history. Yes. By civilization, we mean civilized city government as a government, city state or kingdom, and advanced state of development in human society, marked by progress in art and science, the extensive use of writing, and complex political and social institutions. Susians were one of the local Iranian races before the coming of Aryans into Persia. Yes, before Aryans, the first civilization, the first nation of before that Aryans. Yes, before immigration of Aryans to this land as a Persia. There is at that time there is no Persia. Yes, and go back to the continue this real story of Persia, the history of Persia from Blue's vision. Yes, after that, they were a non-Semitic, Hamitic people, that one of the main divisions of Caucasus family, and who had immigrated to the Persian plateau. Yes, this part, this land, or Persia land, in prehistoric times. Yes, prehistoric times. Today we know that these civilizations are much older than previously thought due to recent archaeological discoveries. Yes, settlements at SUSA or SUSA. SUSA date to 7th millennium before Jesus Christ time. Yes, before burning the Jesus Christ. Yes. As a researcher of scientific and human studies, yes, the magnificent historical city of SUSA or SUSA, it's better to be called SUSA, is mentioned in the Old Testament as the place where the biblical prophet Daniel, yes, the biblical prophet Daniel lived. Yes. SUSA was built in southwestern Persia and marked the progress in complex political and social institutions before 4200 before the Christ. There were governors ruling SUSIANA or SUSIANA, not kings. Yes, at that time there wasn't any kings. There weren't any kings. Yes, some governors were subject rulers, some autonomous, and some independent. After this date, SUSA or SUSA became an independent kingdom and a major power in the region. During the era, the number of settled communities increased, particularly in the eastern Zagros Mountains. Yes, Zagros Mountains. The location of SUSA or SUSA and its closeness to Mesopotamia. Yes, Mesopotamia was the main reason why this civilization influenced each other in terms of art and monuments despite their racial differences. Yes, this is a difference of race at that time. Yes, and after that, early dynastic era or Elamite dynasty. Several fragment small kingdoms were united and created the Elamite nation, or a first dynasty in the Persian plateau, and began to exert and receive influence from the cultures of the region. This impressive dynasty lasted for over 2 millenniums. SUSA or SUSA played a vital role in the development and expansion of the made cultural sphere, and the threat of Assyrian, and we Bedouin Assyrian attacks prompted the construction of a large 6-meter thick rammed earth wall about the city. The increasing frequencies in foreign invasions led to a need for centralizations and organized defenses. Elam is the name of an ancient civilization located in what is now southwest of Iran or Persia. Yes, Iran as a today and the present time and at that time located. Yes. Elam, yes. Elam as a city today, as a southwest of Iran, as a inform as a historical for Iranians that living on the earth, over the world. Yes. The Elamites or Elamites were non-Semitic Alpine people who had migrated to the Persian plateau in prehistoric times, and Susa became their primary capital of the kingdom. The Elamite language is regarded by the vast majority of linguists as a language isolate and has no close relation to the neighboring Semitic languages or to Sumerian or Sumerian. Yes. And we have already about three, for example, limits. We have three limits. At the first limit, we can see how the First Nation immigrate to this land as a Persia at that time, and we are talking about over 7,000 years ago. Yes. Or after that, SUSIANA civilization and or nation. Yes, and the last one is Elamite dynasty, the third persons or nation. Yes, as the Alpine people. Yes, and at this time, rising the Elamite power or Elamite power rising. Susa city at that time. Susa city state falls under the rule of the Mesopotamian Akkadian Empire in the early that goes back 2300 before the Jesus Christ, and later also under the rule of the third dynasty of Persia. Yes. At the end of this period, the Elamites invaded southern Mesopotamia, destroying the city of Ur. Yes, city of Ur. As a revenge for the previous Babylonian invasions, and marked the beginning of a new era of rising Elamite power within the region. Yes. Yes, this is a treatment of as a historical, a real historical, yes, as a researcher of ancient or scientific stuff, historical of the earth. Elements interfered in Mesopotamian affairs usually in alliance with Babylon against the constant pressure of Neo-Assyrian expansion. Yes, Shusha later played an important part in Babylonian opposition to the brutal Assyrian domination. Shusha kingdom regime ended by a start of the Persian Persian Empire. Yes, Persian Empire. Yes. This gets from the treatment events on the historical as a historical of Persia. Yes. And it goes back to the before that, for example, before the Aryans immigrations. Yes, this happened, or these events happened before the Aryans immigration. This is the end of part 2. This is better. We can realize about the history of, for example, Persia or part of Earth, as a part of Earth. Yes, just a part of it. And we can get from history, I think myself, as a B.RAHIMIAN or B.RAHIMIAN, I think myself, we can get result from the history for a human, for better life. We can learn about the, for example, mistakes about our fathers, or yes, or ancient father, for example, for me. Yes. Thank you very much for your listening to the historical of Persia from Bruce Revision as a back through of this, or B.RAHIMIAN, as a JK researcher. This is the end of part 2. And have a nice time, have a healthy, yes, have a healthy and success until next session.